Hey everyone, I just finished watching the new Netflix original movie, Io. I had some high expectations for this movie just because to me Netflix has really been on a roll lately. Birdbox, just a lot of their movies that they've come out with here recently I have actually liked. Now originally they started out with some that I wasn't crazy about. How It Ends was the absolute worst one I've seen on there, and it had such potential until literally how it ended. So I'm always going into these movies kind of prepared for the worst, but hoping for it to be a genuine surprise. This one from the trailer looked like it would be really good. It had Anthony Mackie in it from the Marvel movies. I've actually never seen him in anything else but those, so I was interested to see how he is in a different genre. And plus, this is a post-apocalyptic movie. I tend to like those. The trailer looked really good. Now for the bad stuff, which was most of the movie. Now, it's only an hour and 36 minutes, but it will feel like 3 hours, I'm telling you. It was so long and drawn out, and it never really goes where you want it to go. Now, the movie had absolutely stunning cinematography. The landscapes everywhere was beautiful. The acting in it was really not bad, but this had no story. I mean, it did have a story, it made no sense. Basically, the Earth has turned against us, the air quality is bad, people have left the planet. This girl is left there because her father fully believed that we could restore the planet. So for years she's been living there by herself because he's died at some point, even though she wants people to think he's still alive. And Anthony Mackie shows up. He's one of the survivors as well. He tells her, they can escape this place together. He wants to get her off the planet because she is in a long-term relationship, very long distance, with a guy who's on the Io space station. And that part was really strange. I'm guessing she had some kind of satellite technology to where she could contact him. They would email back and forth, and eventually, towards the end of it, he basically tells her he's leaving to go on this other expansion mission, and she kind of gets a little bit nuts and tries to seduce Anthony Mackie. It was actually very uncomfortable watching that because he really didn't seem into it, and yet she just kept on a going. And up until then, there had been no romantic possibility between them at all. Nothing. And then suddenly she is just going after him like nothing. And it was really weird. Now, the end of the movie I thought was going to pick up because they were going to leave the planet. They were going to go to the space station. They're packing up to leave, and they're going to go into the city, which is, the air quality down there, you can't live in it. She has survived because she's kind of elevated to where the air is a little bit better. And it doesn't really tell you where it's at. I was assuming New York, but again, they never really say. The only thing that made me think of New York was one of the museums, and also they were talking about a big park in the middle of it to where they could land the air balloon, which is how they're going to get to the rocket that takes them to Io. But again, it never says, and nothing. It doesn't really look like New York, which I didn't figure they would film there. But regardless of that, so towards the end of the movie, and I'm just going to spoil it for everybody because I honestly don't feel like it's worth your time to watch it. You're probably going to see all these, how does the ending explained, that kind of thing. Well, it's stupid. She goes to this museum before they take off, and she's looking at a painting that she's always wanted to see, and Anthony Mackie shows up. He explains to her what it means, and after that she decides that she's just going to stay there. She's going to take her mask off because she thinks she can live in this environment now because she's had dreams that made her think so. And if anyone's going to be immune to this, it probably would be her because of her exposure to it, plus her science experiments, everything like that. So she takes her mask off. He screams for her not to, and it fades to black, and I really thought, yep, that's the ending. But there is one tiny little scene. It shows Anthony Mackie back on his his air balloon. I'm assuming he's going to the launch site. She's not with him, although you do hear her talking over, but it sounds like a letter that she's written to him. It closes out with a scene of her on the beach, which she has been dreaming about throughout the movie at times, and apparently she survived. She took her mask off. She was able to adapt. I'm assuming he never tried, and therefore he left and she stayed. And at the very last scene with her on the beach, it shows a child running towards her. So I'm assuming from when they slept together, she had a child. The child is immune to it as well. So maybe they are the next step in the evolution of Earth. She's writing him a letter to come back soon, to come back to them. And like I said, that's how it ends. It was an utter waste of your time. Don't even bother watching it. This is not the next Bird Box. If anything, it's probably the next How It Ends, which is not a good recommendation in my book. So, Netflix, it's a 50-50 chance. Sometimes the movies are good, sometimes the movies are bad. This one just didn't happen to be good at all. Although it had good acting, it had great cinematography, it had beautiful settings, but it didn't have the story. So that's kind of my review for it. Like I said, I would not recommend watching it unless you're just absolutely bored and you want to kill some time. But, hey, maybe you had a different opinion. If so, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you thought about it. You can also get me on Twitter. Just, like I said, let me know, and we'll see you back here for another review pretty soon.